Tom Vessel.
And I'm Melody.
And welcome to Double Trouble. Today we are taking a look at a game called Fear. Now, Fear, the game is actually, is it even a little scary?
Just a little stressed, that's it, but not like spooky.
Yeah. This is a very simple game. It's by Friedemann Friesse. It's in his Fast Forward series, which means when you get this game, you're going to open it up, and inside there's going to be a
Let's open the box first.
Deck of cards. And this deck of cards is in a very specific order. And in fact, if you get to the end, they're like, this is the wrong side of the deck. Start on this side. So this game, which has kind of almost Uno qualities to it, you're going to play through it, and you might get through this many cards in one game, and then you'll get through a few more cards in the next game, and keep going. And you can play through maybe 15 games or so, and then after that, you can still play the game as a way to play. Now, I'm going to show you how to play the game, and it's going to show you the first 20 cards or so in the deck. So if you don't want to see anything, skip it. But I mean, I think you'd want to know how to play at least. So otherwise, go to the ending. Otherwise, here's how you play Fear. So this is the top card of Fear. Fear is a deck that's in a very specific order. And so this tells you what to do. You turn over the text, and it gives you the general rules of the game. So right now, the general rules of the game are draw a card into your hand or play a card from your hand. So players will probably all start drawing cards. Probably no one's going to play one, but and now immediately when this one comes up, it tells us to read the text on the back of the card. And this gives us some more rules. Now the rules here say if you have 3 cards in your hand, you have to play a card in the middle of the table. So maybe the next player draws a card, the next player plays this, and when you play a card in the middle of the table, you have to say the sum of all the cards. So this is a 7. The next player draws, the next player draws, the next player plays a 1, which also changes directions. So it comes back to this player, who has to play because they have 3 cards in their hand. So they play a 3. So now they're going to say 11. Now here's the thing. You don't want the card total to go above 15. So next player looks at his hand. He has a 3 and a 0. So he could play a 3 and make it go up to 14. The next player decides to draw. The next player decides to draw. And we have a new rule to the game. And it's basically just tells us how to play the next game. The next player draws, the next player draws, the next player draws. The next player has to play, and it is 11 or 14, but fortunately they have this -1 card. So now it's down to 13. So we draw, the next person, it's at 13, they have a 2, so they play 15. The next person draws, the next person's at 15, but fortunately they have a 0, so they go over. The next person draws, the next person draws, the next person's at 15, there's nothing they can do, so they have to bust. When you bust, all the cards in your hand are removed from the game. The other players compare their hands and look at their totals. This player had a 4, this player had 8 in their hand, and the other player here had 11. Whoever has the highest total is the winner, so the player with 11 wins. You're going to take all these cards, except for the ones that were removed from the game. You're going to shuffle them together and put them on top of the pile. The rules will stay outside, and you'll keep going. There are now more things that are going to happen. There are going to be new rules added to the game. Different things are going to change how it works. I'm not going to spoil any of that for you. And you just keep going and playing games until you get to the end of the deck, in which there is a way to continue playing after that. Okay, so the game itself, and we're not going to spoil all the new rules and stuff, but even when you add in all the different rules that come over the course of the game, it's never that complicated.
No.
It's pretty much don't go over 15. So you're just playing cards and you're trying to get to 15 as close as you can, or at 15, and then but you also want to have big cards in your hand so that when it goes out, you win the game.
Yeah.
Does it feel like one big game or a bunch of little games?
A bunch of little games. Unless you play all the bunch of little games at once, then it just feels like rounds to a bigger game.
Well, we definitely played through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Straight through. We were like, we'll play a few games.
And then we just kept playing. That's the fun thing about this. It's slightly addicting because you play and then you look at the deck and you're like, we can keep going and just keep going and keep going.
Right, and I actually, some people are going to ask about replayability. Well, Melody and I, we played through the whole thing with some other people. And then I was teaching other people, and I started playing through, and it was fun again. I didn't play through the whole deck twice, although I think some other people did. And I like the way the game ends, too. It's hard to explain, but basically, they're going to let you shuffle the deck and the different rules that pop up in the game, and different things will happen. It's like a solid game that you could buy anywhere. Now, if this game didn't have the fast forward part, where you add some new cards each time and take some cards away.
It would be like a very simple, okay game.
Would you like it?
A little bit, yeah. But I like the whole part where you start off really easy, and then as you're going, it gets like a little more complicated and with like more rules and fun.
And then some of the rules would affect how we played certain cards. And then some card that you might like, there's different cards. You saw basically basic number cards, but there's other cooler cards in there too that show up. Sometimes though, they're the ones that the loser has them, so they're the ones out of the game.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting too, because new cards come in, you're never sure about all the cards that are in the game at any point in time. At the beginning, if you get a 0, for example, there's some strategy. Should you play it? Or should you wait till you have a handful of 3 cards?
And then
you can play the 0.
Yeah.
When should you play the -1? And then there's other cards, and again, we can't spoil them for you, but when you get them, you're like, if I play this card, this might make it easier for the next person, or I might make it harder for the next person.
Or you can do something like you make it like number 13, and then you're like, with the cards that you have, you cannot play at like the next turn. Like you can draw a card or something, but still there's like a chance that you still might not make it, so you're hoping someone else busts first.
So overall, what'd you think of the artwork? The ghosts on the back of the cards.
Like, I still don't really get what the ghosts are for.
It says here, do you fear ghosts, or are you confronting the danger and scoring your opponent? Okay, yeah, never mind. There's no theme. The cards are cool. I really like the size of them. They're nice big cards, but it is essentially an Uno-style game. Now, that's going to throw it off for some people, but this is definitely a really good Christmas gift idea. Give this to some people. They don't have to, they just follow the, there's no rule book.
It's also a good introduction game, too, because the rules come up as you play, and it's very easy to explain, and so.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have to sit there and go, oh, how does this work? I mean, it was pretty obvious. There's a couple cards where you get to think a little bit before you played them, but this is a game I think gives someone say like, hey, there's no rule book. Just read the first card and do what it says. That's really cool. The only negative thing is if you drop the deck, which
like,
I think
simple and easy. Like, it's simple but fun kind of thing.
Yeah, somebody played this on me, and then they didn't put the deck back in order, so you got to putting it back takes a bit of time. So there's that. But other than that, I think it's a lot of fun. This one is my favorite of the Fast Forward series. What would you rank it?
Probably like an 8, like a really high one, because it was really, really fun for a simple game.
Wow. Okay, I'd give it a 7. I really like it though. I think it's a solid, fun, interesting game. That is Fear. I'm Tom Vassell.
And I'm Melody.
Thanks for watching Double Trouble.
Boom!
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.